artists, welcome back to Art at Home with Mrs. Kellogg. For today's art project, we're going to create a mixed media singing reindeer, or you could create a singing mouse. Meet me over at my workspace and I'm going to tell you more about the lesson and the art supplies you will need. As I said before, we're going to create either a singing reindeer or a singing mouse for our art project today. And this is a mixed media project. What that means is we're going to use a lot of different types of art form to create our project today. So for example, we are going to use paper and we're going to collage. We are going to be drawing and painting. So when we combine all those art tools together and all those different art forms together, that's mixed media. Now let me tell you the materials you will need for your art project today. You were right. The first thing you want to do is set up your workspace. So that means you want to lay down a mat or a newspaper on your work area first. Then you are going to need an art paper. The size is up to you. And you have a choice in this project because you can use watercolor in this project. So that means you want to make sure that paper is thick enough to be able to paint on. If you are using watercolor for this project, you want to have your watercolor set, your brush. Remember, you want a cup filled with water, and you want to have a paper towel. We are going to be drawing in this project, so you want to make sure that you have a pencil and an eraser. And we are also going to be using oil pastels. Now you can also use crayons if you would prefer. And I am going to outline my shapes with a fine tip black Sharpie marker, but you could always outline your shapes either with a black crayon or your black oil pastel from your oil pastel set. We are collaging in this project, so you want to make sure that you have the paper that you would like to use in this project ready to go. And since we are collaging, you are going to need a scissors and you will need a glue stick. So those are the materials that we'll be using today for our mixed media singing reindeer or singing mouse art project. So now would be a great time for you to pause that video, gather your materials, set up your workspace, meet me back here and we'll get started. Did you get your materials? Great, then let's get started. Here are a couple of examples of what we're going to create today. Now you have a choice. You can create a singing reindeer or a singing mouse. So the first thing we're going to start with is drawing. So that means we're going to start with a pencil, and we're going to start by using the two elements of art, line and shape. I'm going to show you how to create either the mouse or the reindeer. So I'm going to start with the reindeer here. I want the head tilted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sketch an oval, kind of a tilted oval, but you could have the head going straight. So notice I go round and round till I get the shape I like. Then half circle, that's the nose. I'm gonna put a line to where the mouth would go, and that's gonna be a long oval. Now it's up to you. So you could use rectangles if you want to put teeth in there or not. Next step is I'm going to put in a neck, so I'm thinking rectangle. Then I'm going to think oval for the body, and it's going to go off the page. This side on the page. Okay, and then I'm going to erase any lines I don't need. Now I'm going to draw in the antlers. And I'm going to use some spirals. So I start with line, and then I'm going to go around and around. Okay? Then I'm going to draw another line. So see how I go smile line, and then I just go around and stop. Now I'm going to show you how to draw the mouse, and it's the same way I drew the reindeer, except I'm going to add the ears, the tail, and then the legs and feet. These are going to be the teeth, so think rectangle. And for the ears, I'm going to place them toward the bottom of the mouth, so it looks like the head's tilting up. And an oval or circle for the body. And the tail, triangle, and then going back to the body. Line, then shape. Now I'm going to trace all my shapes and shade in the dark areas with my marker. So this would be a great time for you to pause your video, draw either the reindeer or the mouse, and meet me back here, and we're going to start adding color, and then we'll collage. Did you finish drawing and tracing your reindeer or mouse? Great. Before we go to color, I want to show you how to draw those musical notes. So they're pretty easy, and again, we're going to use line and shape. So I'm just going to use a circle or an oval, shade that in, the line's going to go up, and then I'm going to put two lines going that way. And I can do them upside down also. And I can put one or two lines. Did you finish with the musical notes? Great. Then let's start adding some color. So as you can see, I am going to use red for the nose. But again, you're the artist, so you decide what colors you want to use. Now, if I go with the traditional reindeer colors, I'm going to make my reindeer brown, and then in the center oval here, I'm going to use white. One thing I want to show you about the brown is this. If I use a brown that's really dark, you can see it next to this. It's too close to the open mouth, which I shaded in with the black marker. So that means the mouth and the head aren't going to look separate. So remember, you can always add white. It's a tint to lighten up your brown, and that's what I did there. And I also used a lighter brown. So I'll show you what I mean by that. What I'm going to do, so I'm going to shade this in just around here. Now this is a lighter brown, but it's still a little bit dark. And I'm going to add a little bit of gold into that. It's going to help me lighten it up. But I'm also going to add some white right in here. I'll blend some white in there. And what that will do is separate the mouth from the head, so it'll stand out a little bit more. So I'm always thinking about that pattern, like next to dark when I'm adding my colors. I'm not going to use the same color for the mouse. Maybe I want to use some gray. It's okay to have a pink mouse. It's okay to have a green mouse, or whatever colors you want to use. I've added my musical notes and the color to my reindeer and to my mouse. So now it's your turn to do that. Then the next step is, if you'd like, you can add watercolor. You'll also notice I haven't added arms to my reindeer or my mouse yet. So that's going to be my last step, because I'm going to collage the arms and the songbook on, and that's going to happen after my watercolor. Did you finish coloring in your reindeer or mouse? Great. Okay, so as I said before, our next step is watercolor. But I want to have some snowflakes in my background picture. So notice this, I'm going to put some white oil pastel into the ground here. So it looks like snow. And then this, I'm going to put some oil pastel snowflakes, or you could use a white crayon for this. So now I'm going to watercolor. Remember, you want to make sure that you have a cup full of water because it's watercolor and a paper towel. So I'm going to get my brush nice and wet. Okay, and I think what I will do is add a blue background. So remember, I'm just going to use the tip. And oil and water don't mix. So if I do paint over my mouse, I'm not going to lose my shapes. Now I'm going to let my watercolor dry. And my next step will be to add the arms and the songbook. Is your watercolor background dry now? Great. Then let's start collaging. So now we're going to add the songbook and arms. For the songbook, I start by cutting out a rectangle. Then I fold it, and for me that's too big. So then what I can do is I can just start trimming it down. You just keep trimming it down till you get what you like. And what I recommend before you glue is to place it. Now that I have the songbook cut out, the next step is to cut out thin rectangles for the arms. So you can do that from newspaper, construction paper, magazine, or an old calendar. Then your next step is to cut out the arms, and you can tear thin rectangular pieces for the arms, or you could cut them out. If you're doing the reindeer, what you want to do is put in the black hoof on your thin rectangular piece. Go to one end, draw a V, and then a straight line across, and with a marker or a black crayon or oil pastel, you can color those in, and that'll give you that reindeer hoof look. And then I'm going to fold this in half. I'm not going to glue it yet, and then I'm going to place the songbook inside and see what it looks like before I glue to see if I like that. Okay. So that looks good. So it's time to glue. So here's the top, here's the bottom, and see, it's going to fold in toward the stomach of the reindeer. And you can put a title on the songbook if you'd like. Okay, now it's time to glue the songbook. So on the inside, right on either end, I'm going to get some glue on that, and then I'm going to place it in here, and then I'm going to press down those sides. Okay, and then I'm going to fold those down. And then for the mouse, you have a choice. You could leave the rectangular hands if you like that look, or you can trim the tip with the scissor and round it off if you'd like. Well, that ends our mixed media lesson on creating a singing reindeer or a singing mouse. I hope you really enjoyed it. And remember, when you are creating art, to relax, have lots of fun, and keep creating.